What is up, guys? I gotta be honest, it is hard to review this movie, like, genuinely. Because, on the one hand, of course, initially, people thought that the movie was gonna suck and that it was gonna probably be one of the worst movies of all time. But now, after watching it, I'm like, whoa, okay. Honestly, I'm just gonna say it was very good. Like, it was better than Ant-Man 3. It was better than Ant-Man 3. I watched Ant-Man 3, thought it was like an 8.5 out of 10 movie, and it was better than Ant-Man 3, which honestly is kind of unexpected. And the movie wasn't perfect. There's a couple things they could have done better. Like, especially, I think, with Jack Black as Steve, I think there could have been a couple things that they could have done better. But honestly, though, like, it was a fun movie to watch, and yeah, super. It was worth seeing. It was worth seeing. I watched the movie today, Friday, April 18th. I'm sure this video will go out either then or the next day, the 19th. But yeah, it was a movie that was worth seeing. I loved watching it. It was really, really good. And originally, my plan was gonna be to kind of have a bunch of different topics to like rate it on, but I just decided I'm just gonna vent about the movie, and we'll see what rating my brain comes up with in my head. I mean, I have one in mind, but I kind of just want to vent and discuss about it first. So if you haven't yet, make sure to hit that like button and let's get into this. So starting out, I kind of want to talk about like the characterization of the Minecraft movie. We had, of course, Jason Momoa's character. I think it was like Darren or Garrett. It was something like that. I gotta be honest, his character wasn't bad. At first, I was like, "Wait a minute, what's happening here? Like, what's going on?" And I thought at one point that he was gonna be Alex, but of course he didn't have the red hair, so that wouldn't have made sense. But I mean, his character was really, really good. Like, the character development was, I mean, it was pretty solid, I would say. I mean, he kind of went from being. Oh, yeah, there will be spoilers in this video, by the way. So if you haven't seen the Minecraft movie, make sure to click off, unless if you're a spoiler fiend and just want to watch and get spoiled anyways. But yeah, that's something I wanted to acknowledge. But uh, but yeah, I mean, his character was pretty good. I mean, he kind of went from being a person who was, because it was Henry was the kid's name. He ended up kind of viewing Garrett or Darren as selfish at first because he really wanted those diamonds that Steve was talking about in the redstone mines, but he wanted them to get back on the right foot, get back on a living. And I thought that storyline was solid. It was pretty well done, honestly. Like, I like his redemption where he ended up sacrificing himself and saving Henry, and not placing himself first, but instead placing the needs of others first. I honestly thought that that part of his character was pretty well done. And I have to, he also, not only was he selfish at first, he was also kind of cocky, and he kind of showed some humility by having Henry and Steve go on instead of him until they brought him back at the end, which I have to admit that was a cool reunion. I really, really liked that. But yeah, I thought his character was really, really good. And then of course you had Henry. I guess we'll just go with Henry next. Henry honestly was, he was kind of like the central focus. I mean, I think central focus is the right word. I mean, he was kind of that one character who, was kind of like, I have to admit, he was probably like, even though Steve had like a really, really big focus, he was the lead character. I would argue that he is the protagonist of the movie. I would argue that because you have him at the very beginning getting shamed for his creativity, and then towards the end, people are baffled and surprised at what he's actually able to do. And interestingly enough, Henry kind of realizes that throughout the movie. Because of, yeah, like he how do I say this? He realizes that his creativity is a big gift and that it should be valued and that he should use it to help other people. And I really thought that was, I really thought his character was awesome. I really thought that, and like they executed it greatly. Like I didn't really see any issues with it. Like it was, yeah, it was awesome. I really liked his character. It was cool how he was able to, let's see, because he created the one, like, what was it, tater tot launcher. That was really cool. That was pretty cool. I liked that. I liked how he mixed real world stuff. He built the tower, of course, at the beginning, so he had this like natural knack for creating. And yeah, that was a really nice. He had very nice character development. I think he was definitely the protagonist for sure. And something I'll kind of talk about later with Steve, I think emphasizes that point even more. But next, we'll move on to the. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I forgot her name, but it was the girl with the zoo vehicle. I gotta be honest, her character was also good. She was kind of reassuring Henry's sister. She was reassuring Henry's sister that she isn't a bad parent or isn't a bad mother figure to Henry or anything. And she was good. Her character was good. I really liked the dynamic between them and Henry's sister. It was very nice. And overall, I like how she built the mushroom. We didn't really see her. I mean, I don't really think she was shown that much in the movie, so there wasn't necessarily like a noticeable arc of character development. But it was, like for the scenes that she was in, though, she executed them well. It was very good, and yeah, I was happy with that. Oh yeah, and she found Dennis. That was great. That was great. I liked that. I kind of liked how they ended up meeting each other, and that Dennis was kind of the, one of the central reasons why. That was cool. I did like that. But yeah, so of course, next we had Henry's sister. And regarding Henry's sister, I mean, her character was good. Her character was good. Henry's sister was good. Like she ended up getting a job at the potato factory. She was concerned, however, that she ended up getting fired because of Henry launching the rocket. But technically, though, it wasn't really his fault either. Like he took the blame for something that should have worked, honestly, because mainly it was Henry's bullies that technically kind of inadvertently caused all that stuff to happen. So really, like if Henry knew that it was them, like he wouldn't be blaming himself. So honestly, if the bullies hadn't done what they did, then we never would have had this whole character arc of Henry blaming himself. And you have that one point where his sister kind of lashes out at him, saying like, like you don't. I don't remember the exact words, but it was like you don't deserve to create, or like you shouldn't, or something. Like she ends up lashing out way too much, and then eventually her and Henry reconcile at one point, which was good. And the fact that she was at Henry's side after he and Steve ended up having that one crash landing. Not the one with the water bucket, but the one where they were on the gas thing and they ended up crashing that way. Like it was nice seeing her at Henry's side, and that really showed where her heart was at. And honestly, yeah, her character was great. And I liked how she had the self-defense thing. That was cool at the end. That was pretty cool. I liked how she was kind of like training to fight and stuff. That was very good. But yeah, so I mean, really, other than that, lastly, we have Steve, of course, is well, actually, no, I want to save Steve for last. We got to go over Dennis. So yeah, Dennis was good. Dennis was good. I mean, we didn't really see Dennis too much, but Dennis was the one who escaped with the orb, got it under the bed, and of course, Dennis was the one who also found Steve and found the two central female characters, and took them over to where the guys were. So, that was a nice dynamic overall. I liked that. I liked that Dennis was, I liked that Dennis had more of a role to play after the beginning. That was honestly nice. That was reassuring because yeah, Dennis was a good character, and yeah. So I liked that. Now let's talk about Steve. So I gotta be honest, like Steve's character was good, but I really thought it could have been better. I really thought so. Like, especially the final fight. The final fight was not very long. And, I mean, of course, they had some comedic ties to it. Like, especially with the whole, like, weapon scene and, like, the pig mistress, like, taking out her weapon a bunch of times, trying to get him. I mean, that was funny, but if you really think about it, the fight scene didn't really last that long. And I think the reason why that is because the movie wanted to imply that Steve isn't the main protagonist. He is not. It's Henry. Henry was pretty much the central focus throughout the whole movie. And sure, he had the Steve moment at the beginning. Steve was a good character, honestly. Like, for comedic relief, like, he pulled it off amazingly. Like, especially the Lava Chicken song, like that. Oh, I really want to sing that. Oh man, like that was good. He had a few other songs in there. It was nice that he had those song features. That was honestly really good. I did like that. Um, so yeah, I enjoyed that. I liked having that. That was, like it was nice. It was cool that Steve was showing them around the world. It was cool. Like I mean, Steve also, something I shouldn't forget to mention is that he did also have that battle at the tower, like at the tower that Henry built. And honestly, Steve was kind of, I don't want to say like, Steve, how do I say this? So yeah, Steve, I want to say it was the type of character that supported Henry. He was kind of like the supporting character to Henry because, Henry's morale was kind of like really declining. And Steve was kind of there to reassure him that, his creativity is good and that he's very, very good. Even at the end, he praises him for, how well he was. And, that was a really, really nice, it was nice. I really thought for the role that they wanted Steve to have in the movie, they did it well. But I just thought some of the stuff that they could have pulled off better was the fight scenes. Like I thought the fight scenes could have been longer and just especially that final fight. It was kind of underwhelming. And like if they had more, I think I would have liked the movie better. Like I honestly thought that like if they had a really really epic final fight, like I could actually give this movie a higher rating, but that's okay. The movie was still good. And yeah, Steve's character was solid, but I mean overall though, I mean they had a lot of good characters and the character development was overall pretty good. So, next up though, of course, like we got to talk about the animation. Like at first, I thought the animation was going to suck. Like I thought the animation wouldn't have really made much sense, especially considering that you have real people and then you Minecraft figures. That was the weird thing. Is that they had a bunch of CGI stuff, but then of course they kind of had like people sticking out. But however, I would say that based on the way they told the story and like, having the dynamic of like the people or roundlings versus the of course the piglins in Minecraft, like I really thought that that was good. Honestly, like I thought that dynamic was good, and it kind of kept me from critiquing the animation, and it kept me from like harping on it because the animation made sense in the context of the movie. I hope that makes sense, but I honestly think that's true. Like the animation made sense in the context that the movie was in. So honestly, like that was good. And, next up, of course, we have the plot. The plot was simplistic. And I mean, I felt really rushed at the beginning. but I could see why. And the reason why is because they just kind of wanted to get Steve's backstory a little bit out of the way so they could kind of have more of a central focus on Henry. And I mean, it was just the pacing of the beginning that kind of bugged me a little bit. The beginning pacing kind of bugged me. I thought it was slightly fast. Like it was just kind of like, Steve, or I'm Steve, we're gonna go into the mines and then, talk about this whole backstory thing. And, like, I feel like there could have been a little more depth to the plot, honestly. Like, I thought there could have been a little more depth. And if the movie was longer, I feel like that could have been a possibility. Is that maybe they could go more into Steve's backstory, or maybe they could go more into Henry's backstory and Henry's sisters and kind of like explore their past a little bit more. Like, I thought that would have been a cool dynamic. And I mean, something else that was kind of disappointing was the fact that we didn't necessarily get the end in this movie. Like, we only got the Nether, that was it. We got the Nether, I mean, we got the Enderman, but yeah, I just thought the plot could have taken a slight step up a little bit from the level it was at. And I mean, the plot was fine. It was still good. You know what? The plot was still good, but I thought it needed that extra push to be really good or excellent. But it's something though with this movie especially that I can't forget to talk about is the comedy. the comedy was the comedy was a 10 out of 10 all around. Like, all the little quips, all the funny stuff, and I'll admit, I saw them on YouTube Shorts before, a decent amount of them, but it was still funny to see. It was still funny to see even though it wasn't the first time, especially with the lava chicken and the chicken jockey. Like, I heard that a bunch of times before the movie, and yeah, it was still awesome to hear again. And like, it was just funny. The comedy was funny. It was really, really good. And yeah, yeah, I liked the comedy overall. The music overall was great. It was nice how they had some originals. Cause I'm trying to think. I don't know if this is with movies or with TV shows. It might be with both. But I feel like there's a decent amount of movies and TV shows that kind of just like reuse songs that like we've already heard in the past, like in a movie. And to a degree, that could be a little bit odd. So it was nice that they came up with some original soundtracks for this one. But of course, that makes sense, especially considering that you have Jack Black. So, I honestly thought that that was nice. And I really, really liked how they implemented that. That was really, really good. And, besides the plot, of course, we got to talk about the subplot. The subplot was funny. The subplot was pretty funny. I liked the villager and the that was funny. That was honestly funny. I like how the villager was eventually able to speak at the end. Yeah, that was good. But I mean, honestly though, like, I mean, it was nice for comedic relief. But I mean, like, as a plot line, I have to admit though, I understand why they added it in. Because of course you don't want the whole main group for the whole movie. Because then eventually it starts to drown out, right? Like, eventually you would start to get bored of that. But I mean, if they took that out, could they have added a little more depth to the main plot? Probably. But I mean, it was a nice little subplot thing to have, and, even though it wasn't necessarily relevant to the main story. But speaking of relevancy, though, of course, we have the villains, we have the protagonists, the pigs. And, I thought that was a pretty solid pick for, or not it. Did I say protagonist? I'm sorry. Antagonist. I thought it was a good pick. I thought of all of the creatures in the Nether, like, the pigs would have been the best pick. I mean that, or you could have done the Wither and the Wither skeletons, but I liked how they did the pigs. And the way that they executed it and the way that they threaded them into the story was honestly good. Like, I liked how, like, they were mining for gold, searching for gold, like, you see them with the gold weapons in Minecraft. So honestly, I thought that was pretty nice. And I liked how they implemented that overall. So I liked that. And like especially tying it back to Steve and the orb, like that was very, very nice. Like I like the dynamic with the pigs. And regarding the depth of the plot, I liked how they went in depth with the antagonist a little bit. And I know we went in depth with Steve, but I just wish we went in depth a little bit more with Henry's backstory. And I think that's kind of something that hindered the movie a little bit is that like we have this kid named Henry, like he's creative and he kind of doubts himself, but I mean, it would have been interesting though to kind of see the backstory of like when they were kids and kind of like when he started out his like creation journey. Like, did he just kind of start right then and there in like middle or high school? Or was it kind of an innate thing since he was born? Like, that could have been something that I thought they could have possibly dived more into. And I think that could be something that could have made this movie slightly better. But I mean honestly though, like yeah, that's that's all I really can say. But yeah, the antagonist was really really good. I liked how they fleshed out the antagonist a little bit. I kind of liked like the scenes with the general was cool. The first general was funny. I liked that. The fact that she like summoned the beast after Steve and like it was a go figure that Steve was gonna like betray the piglins, obviously. But I mean that was a nice dynamic. So, I mean I thought the with the antagonist stuff that was good. That was solid. But yeah. I mean besides that though, like what else could I talk about with this movie? I thought the overall design, like other than like, the characters were great. Like I liked like the fact that they had like the grass blocks, wood blocks, all the different biomes, the mines. Like they did a good job animating this. Like they did a very, very good job animating and creating this movie. And it was honestly good. Um and yeah, I liked it. It was nice. But yeah, so I guess just going back to the main plot, I guess like that structure, you have at the beginning, of course, Steve loses the orb, right? You have that. Or Dennis ends up taking the orb, sends it into the real world. And then of course you have Darren or Garrett finding it. And then of course he wants to and he ends up finding it because he was trying to get the Cosmos thing before in order to get himself up and running. And then he ends up finding the crystal instead. He combines it. The portal ends up opening. He ends up going in and or he ends up going in with the whole group because all of them are trying to find Henry and Henry goes with Garrett. Garrett or Darren. I apologize if I'm messing up the name. Um but yeah, so they end up going in. They have the whole adventure, of course. And yeah. Like overall the plot was structured well. Like the only thing is that I thought they could have gone more in depth to some things. It could have made some things longer. Like especially the fight scenes. Like the fight scenes were fine, but I think they definitely had a slight they were focusing more on comedy than the actual action, if that makes sense. And I think if they had a little more action, it would have been better. Like the beginning fight scene was great. Like, and you had the fight scene with like the one General Piglin. Like, I thought we could have just used more of that at the end. And I understand maybe they didn't want like too many of the fight scenes to drag out, but I think that still would have been cool. I still think that would have been cool. I just thought that the ending kind of, needed to flesh out just that little bit more. But, but yeah, there's my rants about the. Oh yeah, and we have the ending scene, of course. We had the post-credit scene with Alex. We had the other like mid-credit scene with the villager and the wife that got divorced by the art teacher that was teaching Henry. So I mean, we had that, and like hopefully they make a second movie. Honestly, I would be down for a second movie. like with Steve and Alex too. That would be a super cool dynamic, and I'm hoping that's something that happens. I really do. I hope they make a second movie. I honestly think like, like I honestly think it'll blow up in the box office. If they made a second one. So hopefully that's the case. But yeah, ultimately though, my rating on this movie, at first I'll tell you guys, I was thinking 8.9. But my brain is telling me to give it a 9.1. Now, I wasn't baffled by the movie. I think I said, like, I'd be baffled if it was a 9 out of 10, and I'm not necessarily baffled by it, so I kind of changed my mind a little bit on that, but I guess the thing that I was surprised with is how good the movie actually turned out compared to my expectations. I guess that's what I am somewhat mentally baffled by, is that the trailer looked like it was going to suck really bad and the actual movie's like, "Whoa, okay, this is actually really good." So yeah, I think a 9.1 out of 10 is suitable for this. Like, it was a good movie. It wasn't an excellent movie. It wasn't like 10 out of 10. It wasn't like the peak. Like I wouldn't have put this on like a top 5 list or top 3 list. It's not my favorite movie of all time. Like, I mean, you have the Sonic movies. Honestly, the Sonic movies are clutch. But, I think a 9.1 out of 10 is suitable for this. Because I think it's better than something like Ant-Man 3. Because the fight scenes weren't necessarily, like, awful. Like, I just think this movie just needed, like, it just needed to flesh out some things. And I think if they did that, like, the execution could have been better. Like I said, especially with Steve's character and especially with the plot a little bit and especially with the fight scenes, like if you flesh those things out a little bit more, like this could end up probably reaching like 9.5 to 10 out of 10 status. But I think 9.1 is suitable because I think it definitely crosses the good threshold, but not very high up the good threshold. So, yeah, there it is. That is my opinion on the Minecraft movie. That is my little in-depth review, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you haven't yet, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and I will see you all next time. Peace out. Woo!